And that was Resident Evil 2 by Bach Basoup. Thank you again so much for those wonderful runs. It was a lot of fun. We have a $10 donation from Marvin150. I'm sorry, Leon. Looks like your party has been canceled. JK, party's back on for Leon B. Let's go, Bach. Great runner, great cause. We have $30 from The Gourd 51. First time donor, awesome job on the RE2 run. As a kid, I was lucky enough to have one of the glitched copies of RE2 on PS1, which we couldn't get an A on no matter what we did. My best time was 1 hour, 24 minutes run and still got a B. Had to wake up an hour and a half early on the East Coast to catch this run. Loving every minute of it. Keep up the good work. We also have $100 from Mercs. Watched a few GDQs, but my first time donating. I love seeing so many games broken by such cool people and having awesome content to watch late at night after work. Thanks to all the runners and staff for such amazing events and all your work for such a great cause. 50 to Runner's Choice and 50 to the Skyrim Glitch, that word is difficult, exhibition. We have $5 from Clicks Gaming. Always a joy to watch you, Bach. Great runs tonight, and as usual, I'm watching closely, judging harshly. Also, if you are just joining us, this is SGDQ 2016, which is in benefit of Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders supports people who cannot otherwise access healthcare by employing specialized medical and logistical help or running longer-term projects designed to tackle health crises. At any time, some 30,000 doctors, nurses, midwives, epidemiologists, water and sanitation experts, and many others representing dozens of nationalities can be found providing assistance to some of the world's most vulnerable patients. They often work in remote locations and are often the first international aid workers to arrive at the scene of an emergency. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, the Yeti. The Yeti is the official tea sponsor of Games Done Quick events since 2012. With each $11 shirt sold from the SGDQ collection, the Yeti will donate $3 towards Doctors Without Borders. Shirts are available during this event until July 10th at midnight CDT. Visit theyeti.com/SGDQ to get your shirts today. Also a huge thanks to Humble Bundle, which offers pay-what-you-want bundles that support charity. They also offer bundles for video games, mobile, ebooks, comics, and the Humble Store. They have raised over $75 million for charities such as Doctors Without Borders and many others. You can visit them at www.humblebundle.com. We have a $10 donation from Anonymous. That Kirby shirt is making me want to donate more. Put this towards the 100% Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland run. We have $10 from Alphonsinator3. Bach, good to see you're still playing. Resident Evil for life. RE7, please stream it when it comes out. We have $10 from Fuzzle. Let's go to 300K and save the animals.
Or as the rest of the Omniverse call it, the Orb of Dreamers. So much time.
We have a $50 donation from Dalucard. My usual GDQ donation. I love the old Resident Evil games. Good luck to all runners. Greetings from Germany. We have $10 from Ulrich. I watched SGDQ the first time and love it. Great cause to donate to. Keep going. We have a $5 donation from Anonymous. We have an anonymous $5 donation. The comment is funny, so I'm reading it.
All right. Okay.
LittleBigPlanet, you're
right.
a little sack.
3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is LittleBigPlanet. You start out in this introduction level that was basically designed to not kill you, so naturally the first thing I'm going to do in a speedrun is try to lose all of my lives. The reason I'm going to do that is because normally this introduction level takes like 2.5 minutes, and once you beat it, you're sent to the pod, which is like the game's level select area, and from there you can continue on with the rest of the run. However, when you lose all your lives in this game, you get the option to either retry the level you just failed or go back to the pod. So that's what I want to do. So I just switched my controller number a bunch of times, tricked the game into thinking there were more players than there actually were, so it just kept spawning in players until I'm out of lives. So now I can just choose return to pod and skip the introduction level.
Your pod.
So now I'm in the pod. There's this cutscene I have to sit through, except I don't. I can skip that too by doing this. The way this works is I open the start menu, do some menu magic, and make a leave to pod button magically appear in the start menu. See, there's no button now. I do this. Now there's a leave to pod button, and that reloads the pod and basically cuts off the cutscene and saves a whole bunch of time. So right off the bat, that's like 3 minutes worth of skips just from like menu gimmicks. But now I get to play the actual game. So if you're unfamiliar with this game, it's called LittleBigPlanet. It's a 2.5D platformer. You can see it's like a basic side-scroller. But there are also 3 layers depth-wise that I can stand in, the back, middle, and front layer. The game's also physics-based, so naturally that comes along with some movement techniques to get extra speed or extra jump height or something. For example, one thing I'm going to do as much as possible in this run is jump on downward slopes. We call that slope jumping. And that's because if you time your jumps correctly when you're moving downhill, then you can build up a lot of speed. Another thing I'm going to do is jump like right on the edges of platforms if I can, because that will give me some small speed boosts as well as longer jumps. You can actually use slope jumping to jump over this pit that I just fell down, but it's really, really precise. I probably only get it in like 5% of the attempts I do. I gotta put stickers on this guy. Nailed it. And there's a little bit of downtime here, so I usually just put on a costume. The costume doesn't actually help me move any faster, but I just like it. Also, the crown that I'm wearing right now is kind of special. I can explain that later. Another trick I do throughout the run is I quit out of the level I'm in before actually finishing it. And that's because there's a little bit of time between when you choose to quit the level and when the pod actually loads. So as long as you finish the level in that time period, it'll count as the level being completed. So it's actually going to look like I'm not finishing a lot of these levels, but it saves a lot of time over the course of the run. I mentioned getting extra jump height too, so that's going to be something I start to do in this level. I'm going to be doing a trick called a right corner jump or an RCJ, or you might also know it as a super jump if you've been involved in the LBP community for a long time. So that's the original name for it before speedrunners accidentally rediscovered things that already existed. I could explain that later too, maybe. So the way the RCJ works is I stand on a corner, I run off and jump, and it gives me extra jump height. I'm about to do one down here. If you watch closely, you'll see before I jump, I actually fall over slightly. The reason an RCJ works is because this game's physics engine does its best to keep you standing upright at all times. So when you've run off a ledge and you fall over slightly, the physics engine will apply forces to you to keep you standing straight upright. So if you jump while it's pushing you back upright, then the jumping force and the pushing force will combine, and as a result, you'll get a higher jump. So really, that's not limited to just corner jumping. You can, any way you can fall over in this game and jump, then you can get extra jump height. So like you can trip over things on the ground, you can like slam your face into a wall and that makes you fall over depending on the shape of the wall. You can, even if you're playing with more than one person, you can jump and have the other player grab your feet and drag you to the side and make you land on your face. I'm obviously not going to be doing that. That's really useful in co-op runs though. Oh, and it's called a right corner jump because it works best on right corners. It does also work on left corners, but for some reason it doesn't give you as much height. So I just did a tricky fling there to skip a cycle. We used to think that was IL only for a while, but practice makes perfect. Oh, so there is also a left corner jump that's different, and I'm about to do it in the next room after I've skipped this block dragging stuff. So here's the left corner jump. Stand in front of this. I do a double jump. So if you stand in front of a left corner in a different layer and you're standing in the right spot and you time a double jump just right, the second jump you get off of that left corner gives you a boost that's about 3 times as high as a normal jump. Gotta avoid the ghost. So obviously that's really useful. Unfortunately, the use cases are pretty limited because I have to have a left corner in a different layer. It doesn't work at all with right corners. But wherever I can use it, it is really useful. I use it in some pretty big skips in this run. And I have one last trick I have to do in this level that I've been failing a lot recently, but it's okay. You can actually conserve your momentum by like hopping all the way over here. But yeah, that's pretty much the gardens. That's the beginning of the game. Oh, I do another cutscene skip here. This one's different than the first one I did. The way that one works is every time a cutscene plays in this game, you unlock it and can replay it from the start menu. So when the pod loads and that cutscene starts, I can actually just open the start menu and play a different cutscene. And that'll interrupt the first one and skip it and save a whole bunch of time. All right, so now we're in this level called Swinging Safari. And this would probably be a good place to explain the category differences. So you'll see I'm running any % no overlord. In regular any %, also known as glitched any %, instead of going to this level, I would go to create mode, which is unlocked after I beat Skate to Victory. And in there, I would do what's called the overlord glitch. And that glitch lets me attach emitters to my sack person, which essentially lets me bring whatever I want from create mode to the story mode. So in the speedrunning route, what you do is you go to create mode and you do the overlord glitch and bring scoreboards with you so that every time you start a level, a scoreboard will spawn and you'll just immediately beat the level. That's a really boring category though, so I'm really the only person who's run it. This one is much more interesting and fun. hit restart level. Sometimes you open the start menu and there's a bit of lag, so sometimes I hit restart level instead of return to pod. That only loses like 5 seconds or so. It's fine. Yeah, that level I just beat was mostly, it was pretty short. It's mostly just movement. This one's also pretty short, but it's a little more difficult. Mostly just because there are a lot more dangerous things and the movement's a little trickier. I'm also going to try a trick that I'm not expecting to get at all. It's called croc fling. It's kind of a silly trick. I'll explain it when I get there. If I get it perfectly, it only saves like 3 seconds, and if I don't get it, then, well, it doesn't lose a lot of time anyway. Okay, so, alright, I'm gonna try one more time. Oh, I got it, sort of. If you do that perfectly, you can get flung all the way to the other side of this pit. So the reason that worked, if you looked closely at those crocodiles, you can see they're not actually real crocodiles, they're just made out of wood. So it's actually perfectly safe to just stand in their jaws. And then when they snap their jaws shut, if you're standing in the right spot, you can get catapulted like across that pit. It's just kind of a wacky result of this game being physics-based. I don't usually get that trick. I don't usually attempt it. I did it once in an IL and then I never ran ILs of that level ever again. But yeah, it's still interesting anyway. Alright, this level has the first major like level skip. Unless you count introduction skip, but I don't know, that introduction skip's kind of boring. Okay, so you can see most of this level takes place in one layer. I can't really switch back any layers, but right here there's a little hole in the wall, and I can squeeze back and just run behind the whole level here. Then I can pop back and bounce here. I can bounce up here, and now I'm at the end of the level in about 30 seconds rather than the 2.5 minutes it normally would have taken to speedrun that level without the skip. So it's a pretty nice skip, it's pretty easy, and it saves a lot of time. This level's mostly just movement, not really anything worth explaining, so if you want to read donations or something, that's fine.
Sure. We have $15 from Fairly Little. Take time to stop and see the sights. Good luck, runners. We also have $20 from Brosentia.
Hey.
Brosentia here. Hey, Jellyman. I woke up just to slip you a donation. I loved running this game, even with all the completely inconsistent physics. It's impressive to see what you've done with it. Keep running, man, and let's see a deathless wheel of pain.
Oh, you'll see a deathless wheel of pain, all right. Yeah, Brosentia was kind of the first person to run this game seriously. He had a really good time at the time. Back then, he also ran it at SGDQ 2012, and back then the estimate was like an hour and a half, I think. But now it's an hour and 5 minutes, I think. Is that what I put down? I think it is. But the reason it dropped so much is mostly because of the guy sitting next to me who goes by PPJ. He flew here all the way from Finland to hang out and watch speedruns. But he and I basically, after Brosentia got a really good time, PPJ and I went through the entire game and found a whole bunch of new stuff, and that cut a lot of time out. And PPJ ended up having the record for a while after we did that. And then he and I started racing, and I got it back, and then he got it back, and the record went back and forth. I have it now, but PPJ isn't far behind. If you do more runs, you will probably beat me. But okay, you can see this dog is really slow. I need it later in the level, so I have no choice but to wait for it. And you can see if I try to grab onto it and drag it, it doesn't move any faster. So it's really stubborn, really slow. However, I forget who actually discovered it, but I know I saw it the first time in one of Brosentia's runs, actually. but you can wedge yourself underneath the dog's nose and it'll walk up onto your head. And you can basically wear the dog as a hat and just run to the right at your normal running speed instead of waiting forever for the dog. So here it is. Whee. Alright. One last time. That actually saves a lot more time than you would think, because it's such a short stretch of ground, but the dog is really slow. I use this guy as an elevator to get up here and skip some platforms. And then this part is pretty much just movement and avoiding those bats. Those bats can be really annoying if you're not paying attention to the cycles. It's really easy to die to them. Oh, coming up is Glitcher Fling. So shoutouts to the Glitcher 1705, who goes by Glig for short. Or well, we call him Glig. I don't think he actually goes by that. Oh, I failed it. No, I have to try it again. Oh, I failed it again. I'm sorry, Glig. I failed you. Alright. It's fine. I do some death piece there to get... I just pulled that lever to extend the bridge. And... The whole point of this level is I'm supposed to be saving this guy, but really the only reason I'm bringing him with me is because he opens a couple doors. And that's the last door, so I'm just going to leave him behind. It's fine. Alright. Level's just about done. It's actually a fling I can do here if I'm in the right place at the right time. I kind of got it, but I didn't maintain enough speed. But yeah, when the Skulldozer pops out of the wall, it like does stuff. So I promised PPG I'd let him run a level, so I'm letting him run this one because it's too good. It's probably the hardest level in the game. So good luck, don't choke. Oh, you didn't get the... You can actually, one thing I didn't mention, I kind of mentioned it, you can trip over the base of those race gates. And like I said, when you trip over things, if you can pull off a jump, you get a higher jump. So if you do a really precise jump and like trip over the base of that race gate, you can jump and skip that 3-second wait at the start of each race. Also, I lied when I said this is the hardest level. You just run to the right and jump a few times. It's really not bad. I say that though, and every time I make fun of this level when I'm running it, I die. So that's why I'm letting PPJ run it, because now I can make fun of it without dying, because I'm not playing. It's great. Pretty much over. So yeah, that was Skulldozer, best level. Alright, good job. I'm proud of you. Alright, so after that ridiculously easy level, this is where the run starts to get really difficult. Partially because even in casual play, this is just the first really hard level, I would say. But also because there's a really hard skip at the end of the level. That's pretty difficult. It saves about a minute. It skips a really stressful, dangerous part of the level. But I also only get to try it once, so I have to get it first try. Otherwise, all of the things I just said I would skip. I will have to do as intended, which I would like to not do. Also, I would like to make this jump Thank you. That was a little skip there. You're not supposed to climb up that wall, but you can. Yeah, so I'm mostly gonna focus for the rest of the level. I wanna make that jump too, thanks game. There are actually two ways to do the skip, but the first one, which uses these rocket cars, is it's harder than croc fling. So I'm just not gonna do it. Alright, so it's coming up, so I kinda have to focus. Okay, I got it. Alright, so there are like 3 things that make me nervous about doing this run into GDQ, and that's the first one, so I'm really glad I got that. The thing I'm skipping, you fly through these really narrow tunnels with jetpacks carrying impact explosives, and if the explosives so much as tap the walls of the tunnel you're flying through, you explode and die, and you have a limited number of lives. Even if you're not careful handling the bomb, it can swing around and hit you while you're carrying it. So it's just really precise and stressful. So I'm glad I got that. And this is the mines. This is probably the longest level. And again, most of it's just movement. So if there are any more donations, you can read some of those.
Sure thing. We have $100 from Anonymous. I thought I'd summarize my experience so far with a verse. The sound of birdsong and light comes through the window, a yawn escapes me, bold struggle against the frames. It's SGDQ, of course. We also have $10 from another anonymous donor. SGDQ keeping me company as I pull an all-nighter for a midterm. Kill the animals, game done quick, people. We also have $15 from Overzealous. Thanks for providing entertainment to us for a great cause. Amazing stuff. And $20 from Empty Bob. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes and the technical gods who keep SGDQ running year after year.
Alright, so this is the second of 4 minecart rides. The last minecart ride I actually skipped, as you'll see, because slope jumping down the tracks is faster. This part's really risky if you're not careful, but I never usually am, so. Alright. And then this part, you have to blow up that wall using 3 timed explosives. So really the strategy is to just... That's not the strategy. Alright, it was close though. Let me try that again. Alright, so the strategy, as I was saying, is to just spawn 3 of those bombs as fast as you can without them all blowing each other up. Which is exactly what happened, so I didn't do a very good job, clearly. But yeah, it's... got that, so now I can just continue on. We're almost up to the 3rd minecart ride. I do this thing where I like run back and forth in the minecart like this. I timed it, and it ended up being 0.3 seconds faster. But it was also pretty crude timing, so I don't know. That might be human error, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. I don't think it makes physical sense for that to be faster, but it's fine. This whole game doesn't really make physical sense. There's some tricky stuff here. If I just like grab that wheel as I'm flying by, I can get a whole bunch of speed from it. Alright, this is the minecart ride I'm skipping because it's faster to just slope jump down that part. There is this tricky jump I have to do, but I got it. It's not too difficult of a jump. It looks harder than it actually is. But it is a little risky. This part's also dangerous. Okay, I was pretty sure I was gonna die there. That's fine. Then finally, it's another Skulldozer section where I just run to the right and jump. Cool. Alright. So that's the mines. Again, that's the longest level, probably. Okay. This level's another difficult one like Boomtown. It has some pretty well, it has a hard skip at the end, and it's also really movement heavy. It's a lot of start and stop movement because I have to time these snake cycles so I do not die. Also, I have to wait here because if I don't, when I bounce on that platform, I can just hit that enemy and die instantly. By the way, pretty much everything in this game except for that fire kills you in one hit. So doing a deathless run is not something I've ever done before. So there will be mistakes, as you've already seen actually. So there's another skip coming up. You're supposed to platform over to the right, drop down a level, platform over to the left, drop down a level, and so on. You can actually just drop straight down to the next checkpoint and skip a bunch of stuff. And then I skipped some safe spots. You're supposed to grab those sponges to avoid this thing. You can actually just skip all of them. So I have to make sure I don't bunny hop into that pit. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, bunny hopping is another basic trick where if you jump to stay off the ground, there's less friction, so you can use it to conserve speed. Alright, so this guy, I'm gonna not fight him. I just did an LCJ off of one of the bombs he threw. And I'm gonna hop over onto his back. Carries me up here, I jump up onto the ceiling and skip the boss fight. So that was pretty good. It took me 2 cycles. It's possible to do it in one. It's a lot more difficult. Alright, we're onto the Metropolis now. I'm gonna take my phone out for reasons which will soon become apparent in the next level, not this one. Okay. Yeah, this level involves a lot of driving cars. It's also a really good example of how chaotic this game's physics engine is. Sometimes I will change nothing, and sometimes I'll be able to drive through the section perfectly. Other times the car will just stop in the middle of the road like that. Like I really wanted to get a whole bunch of speed and jump out of the car and like bunny hop past this part, but it just decided to stop because it's annoying. But yeah, so if you haven't noticed, this game has literally no RNG. Everything is based completely off of the game's physics engine. So any randomness is really just because the physics engine's chaotic and hard to predict sometimes. Like as Brosench's donation as his donation said, like this game has really trolly physics. So it's often really hard to predict what's going to happen when you do certain things unless you practice a lot. That also makes this game really rewarding to run because there is no RNG, so everything's purely skill-based, and there's always room for improvement. It's like the skill ceiling for this game is incredibly high. Like a big part of this game is the community. Like you can create your own levels and publish them. PPJ and I were actually playing a level yesterday, a community level. We were trying to beat it, and we didn't beat it. We got to the last obstacle, but it took us about 6 or 7 hours. That's unfortunate. So that happens sometimes. You're supposed to race that guy using this car, but his car is actually faster than mine, so I like to just jump onto his hood and let him floor it. But there is a small risk where you'll land on one of those cardboard boxes and fall behind the level and die. just because of how the game's layer mechanics work. Okay, so coming up is the hardest skip in the game. I might not get it. I will attempt it for a little bit. Also, this is what I need my phone for. Again, I'll explain in a little bit. So what I have to do is jump over that big metal wall to my right. I will start by doing a double LCJ to get up onto this lamp, because it's not quite enough height to make it all the way up onto that wall. To time an RCJ like that, and then do that, and I made it. Okay, wow, all right. So that's the hard part. It's not quite over yet. This is what I'm using my phone for. I have to make this blind drop. But again, there's no RNG. Oof. Okay, I'm good. I got it. So the thing about that drop is you can see I landed on a subway there, and then jumped down to safety. The thing is, the subway also despawns there, so on a cycle. So if I'm not timing the cycles in my head, there's like a 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance of dying. And then I would have to restart the entire level and do the actual hard part again. So since there's no RNG and all of that is just on a cycle, I actually wrote an app on my phone to time the subway cycles, and it'll basically act as a traffic light and tell me when it's safe to make that blind drop and when it isn't. So it's really useful. So that skip is a huge run killer. So it sucks a lot when you get the actual hard part really quickly and then you do that blind drop and die. So that's pretty nice. Alright. So this level also, oh nice, I got a race gate skip. That one's relatively easy. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. Oh, there's another skip in this level. It's pretty small. I think it saves like 10 seconds. There are two ways of doing it. The first way is to do an LCJ there, which I missed. So I'm not gonna go for it again because it's really difficult. So what I can also do is swing this beam, jump up here, and grab that sponge. Oh, I missed it. All right, I'll just do it again. Okay, thanks game. You're supposed to automatically switch layers. Sometimes it doesn't though. All right, I'm just gonna take my time here. All right, I got it. So that didn't actually end up saving time because it only actually saves time if you get it first try. But it's still fine. So shoutouts to the music in this game. I believe in SGDQ 2012, Bro Sencha called it like evil Teletubby music or something. And then I have to, pretty much for the rest of the level, I just have to be careful to not die because the checkpoints are really far apart in this section. In this stretch in particular, if I lose, or if I die and warp all the way back to the checkpoint, that's like an automatic 30-second loss. So I'm gonna be a little careful here. Alright, I got it. Fire does kill you in 2 hits though, so I can actually boost off the fire like that to save a little bit of time. There's this boss fight. These 3 dudes will shoot fireballs at you and you have to bounce them back up and hit that big red button underneath them. So I can get that guy in 3 shots. I can get this guy in the first. And then the last guy I have to wait for the 3rd shot again. Nice. So that was a pretty solid Metropolis. I guess. Although I did miss that skip in that level. It was still pretty decent. These are the islands. These are probably my worst levels personally. Especially this level. This level's really movement heavy. One thing I do a lot in this level is there's a lot of edge jumping to get extra speed, and I need them to get longer jumps than usual. But that's tricky because every platform in this level has a rounded edge, so it's kind of hard to figure out where I should actually do the edge jump. Alright, I think I'm a little behind. If I do the beginning part perfectly, I'm gonna go for it. Alright, I got it. So I did some tricky jumps and skipped waiting on some seesaws there. So that's a nice time save. I don't actually know how much time it saves. I think it's like 10 seconds-ish. Alright. So then I'm also going to try some bunny hopping stuff here. Mistimed it. Also, sometimes that happens where you're supposed to run across these like that. Sometimes they don't hold and you just fall through. Naturally, I'm getting marathon luck. So I have 1 life left, so if that happens again, that kind of sucks. Alright, that was close. I could feel it starting to fall again. I'm also gonna jump over that race gate by doing that. I use the rotating of that platform to get a higher jump. And then I could jump over that race gate and save a few seconds. And that's pretty much all the hard parts of the level done. So other than that, the part with the game being mean to me, that was pretty solid. Also, I skipped some stuff here, but just dropping straight down and landing on that slope. And that boosts me straight to the scoreboard. Alright, this is another pretty difficult level. I do a jump as I'm getting catapulted there. You're supposed to drag that catapult closer to the wall, but you can actually do a jump and make it all the way over. These wheels are really difficult to traverse, especially for new players, but with practice, it's doable. I remember the first time I played this game, that part was like impossible. I didn't get the fast cycle. If you do the beginning part pretty much perfectly, you can grab onto this wheel early, and then grab onto that wheel immediately after, and it saves a whole bunch of time. But I haven't gotten that fast cycle like very often. I have it in my current PB, I think, which is unfortunate because that means my splits are not very much fun to run against anymore. Alright. There's some momentum stuff I can do here. I mistimed my hops, so you can like conserve your momentum all the way over here after swinging off that thing. It's not very consistent for me though. Also, I go up those wheels 2 at a time because I can. These enemies are pretty easy. Except for this one, he's annoying. He swings his arms around. And then there's a mini boss here. It's quite... it's usually kind of tricky, but strats make it easy. Last thing in this level is I just zipline down these branches using this thing. It's actually faster to slope jump down the rest. If I don't crater like that, actually it's still faster even if I do crater, but you can usually build up some pretty nice speed on those branches. And that's that level. That was okay, I guess. Or it was pretty good. Shouldn't be too hard on myself for that level. It is a really hard level. Like I was saying, the physics in this game can be really hard to predict. So especially climbing those moving wheels is not always the most consistent thing in the world. The whole point of this level is mostly flying this airship around. It's really heavy and hard to control. So what I do is I bounce off those clouds to get it exactly where I need to go. It's pretty fast. And then you kind of just go through that little fortress, and then I do some death abuse after opening this gate to get back to the ship. I'm going to try to do another bounce here, but I missed it, of course. Well, it could have been worse. I kind of stay with the ship there for a little longer than usual because even if you land it, these little mini fortresses, if you fly away from them with the airship, they'll fill with dangerous gas. So if I land this airship in a bad position and it like bounces off the ledge or something, then while I'm in the fortress, this gas will just appear and kill me, and it wastes a lot of time. So I usually play that section pretty safe. Okay, there's a little trick I can do here. I boost off the fire. Doesn't save a lot of time, but it's not too difficult. And then we have another boss fight coming up. So what I have to do for this boss fight is pull that lever up there to get the flying flamethrower cat closer to this guy so he can defeat the boss for me. I can do it in 2 cycles. I think this will be 2 cycles. Yeah, we're good. Alright, that was a pretty decent level. And that was the islands. Overall, pretty good islands. I'm happy with that. Right, there's 7 levels left. 3 in this area called the temples, and then 4 in the wilderness. This is a really cyclic level. But there are some things I can do to skip cycles. Like if my movement is completely perfect at the beginning of that level, I can actually get up onto that platform without having to wait for it like I am now. That's really IL only. Well, it could be done in single segment if you get the first jump perfectly, but I usually have to reset like 30 times if I want to go for that jump. Yeah, this is mostly waiting on cycles and not a lot to explain until later. There's one pretty big thing. You'll probably be able to point it out to yourself.
Mind if I fire off a donation then?
Yeah, sure.
Got $100 here from Anonymous. Third time watching, second time donating. Keep up the great work you are doing raising money for a great charity. Shout outs to the crew working behind the scenes. This donation goes to saving those poor animals.
There are a couple more. You can read them.
That was, oh, here comes one. I was going to say that's all I got. So if you guys want to fire in some more donations for me to read, that'd be great and that'll be a good time. $10 from Dark Lord Demon 138. Shout out from Wisconsin. We'll donate 10 more if PPJ waves and says hi to the camera. Your move, Dark Lord.
Oh, so I just did a skip there. I totally didn't explain it. There isn't a whole lot to explain. That snake was bobbing its head up and down, and if you time a jump correctly, you get enough height to like get out of bounds and jump over. That whole level is pretty much in a big loop. And the scoreboard is in the middle of the loop, so if you jump over that wall, you can reach the scoreboard super early. It saves like 2.5 minutes. Right, I think this is my favorite level to speedrun, even though it is really cycle heavy. If your movement is like perfect, the cycles will line up like perfectly with my run though. So it's also really challenging. I'm gonna do a quick LCJ here, hopefully. Nope. Second try? Third try? Fourth try? First try. Okay. Alright, so obviously I didn't do perfect movement there, so I'm not gonna get the fun fast cycles. That's fine. That just means there's a little bit more waiting between obstacles. Probably. Right, there is a really tricky bunny hopping section here. I kind of clipped my head on that ceiling there, but I didn't die, so I can't complain. Lots of edge jumping there to get extra speed. Again, on rounded corners, so it's trickier than it seems. Then I can skip that little section. You're supposed to go inside those blocks, but you can actually just jump around on the outside. Okay. So there's this little auto scroller here. Kindly waits for you to open that wall for him. You can actually hit it earlier and not have to wait for the elephant, but... Alright. And then last, jump up through that little hole there, and then I do this jump straight to the scoreboard so I don't have to wait for the rest of the auto scroller. We used to think that jump was really hard, but we were overthinking it. It's actually a really easy jump. And this level is pretty much the calm before the storm being the last 4 levels. There's a really long cycle in this level, so as long as I don't make any like huge mistakes, then I won't actually lose any time. Yeah, so this is the part where I have to wait. These blocks are building a bridge. Alright, so this is where the actual speedrun of the level starts. I'm going to try to do an RCJ off of this. It's kind of tricky because I have to get it fast. I didn't get it, but I try to go as fast as I can there because, as you can see, those blocks are despawning. So I really don't have a whole lot of time to set up the RCJ. Okay. There's this little bonus section here where you climb to get up there, but I just got the beast because it's faster. You're supposed to drag both of those blocks over, but if you just drag one halfway, you can skip a little bit of platforming. Alright, and that's pretty much the end of the level. Cool. Alright, 4 levels to go. What's my time at, by the way?
You were at 49:20.
Oh, good pace. Alright. So yeah, these, like I said before, these levels are kind of difficult. They each have some pretty big time savers in them. Whether or not I'll actually get those time savers is questionable, because they aren't the most consistent time savers. Okay, you can actually, if you time it just right and the sled is nice to you, then you can jump off that sled and kind of bunny hop through that entire section and land all the way over here. It's super inconsistent, but it's also really fast. It's also really easy to like crater on the wall and the debris of the wall you burst through. So it's sort of something you hope for, but don't exactly reset if you miss. Do a quick LCJ here. Get up here. There's some fun strats where you can surf on those rockets that those guys are shooting. I'm not good at it yet though. Alright, no, I missed it. There's a skip you can do here. You can skip this entire ice slide section. A community member by the name of Loud Orange found the skip by accident. He was playing this level and he hit the slope in a certain way and switched layers and fell behind the ice slide all the way to the end. And we found like a 50-50 consistent way of doing it. But it only really saves like 15 seconds, so it's not really worth it to try more than once. Thought I was gonna die there too. Up next is the bunker, which a lot of people consider the hardest level in the game. I disagree. It is kind of tricky to speedrun, but it's not too bad. Once you memorize all the cycles and stuff, it's doable. Alright, I'm gonna try to skip a cycle up here. Oops, I did not skip the cycle. You can actually get into this wheel early if you don't die like me. That's fine though. I'm not gonna go for that. If you stand in just the right spot on those spinning platforms, you can have it like fling you over to the right. You can bunny hop all the way over here. I'm gonna not die there. Cool. Some obnoxious enemy placement there. I'm kind of not talking here because I'm focusing. A lot of the later levels, they are really difficult, so it's useful to... I tried something there. It's worth it to go for it, even if I miss it. Because usually when I get in here, the conveyor belt hasn't fully finished spawning. So I would have had to wait for the conveyor belt anyway. And it's actually safe to run down below, like on those wheels, and then jump up to the end. So that's cool. All right, so upcoming is the Wheel of Death, which Bro Suncha also mentioned. It's this big rotating wheel. You start out in the middle of it, and it's spinning, and you got to jump over these obstacles and slowly work your way outwards until you've escaped. You might be wondering what I'm doing here, but don't worry about it. But yeah, a lot of the Wheel of Death is the nightmare of many people who play this game. This is kind of difficult. I'll get it eventually, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. Really, this is just I'm procrastinating going into the wheel. That's all this is. I just don't want to go in. Oh my god. This guy's, you have to do a really precise jump off this guy's hair, but he wobbles around and it's annoying. Alright, there it is. So I had to do an RCJ off of his hair. Then jump up here. Alright, that could have gone better, but, well, the thing is, this wheel's optional. You can just skip it. So the wheel's also really slow. I would have been fine having to play it, but it's too much time for me. I hope Rasancho was watching that. Actually, no, that took forever. I hope he wasn't watching. Alright, 2 levels to go. This is another... This one is the one I thought was the hardest level. In general, when I played casually, this is the one I had the most trouble beating without dying. Because there's a trophy you can get in this game for beating all the levels without dying. And that's the reason so many people were complaining about the bunker. It's because acing that wheel is not easy. Except it is because you can skip it. But yeah, this is another really cycle-heavy level. So a lot of it's just moving and platforming and not dying. The entire level is pretty much moving, so that makes the character controls even more unpredictable than they usually are. So I haven't really mentioned, a lot of this I might be making look easy, but the controls in this game are extremely slippery and floaty. So even getting down basic character controls when you start running this game takes a lot of time. I've been running this game for like 5 years now, I think, though. And I still suck. But yeah. Well, I never explained the crown. I'll do that in a bit. There is a skip here. What I want to do is LCJ off this lever. You'll notice the level is circular. So that makes finding the left corner a little tricky, but it's not too bad. That saves like 20 or 30 seconds or something. Alright, now I'm just going to drop straight down here. Skip everything. Alright, so the thing about the crown, I can actually explain that now. I mentioned PPJ and me running this game. At one point, he and I actually made a series on YouTube for how to speedrun this game. And it goes into every level in like super detail. So if you're interested in like the tricks you're seeing and stuff, and maybe want to see all the things that I'm not doing, then you should totally check those videos out. But the The crown is actually a special costume piece that you can only get from the, straight from the developers. You have to like be awarded the crown. You can't just download it or something. But yeah, the LittleBigPlanet community manager actually saw our speedrunning tutorials and gave us the crowns because he thought they were cool. So that's a pretty nice example of like the devs supporting the speedrun community. It's really nice of them. Alright, so this boss is 3 phases. This phase normally takes like 4 cycles, I think, but I can actually do it in 1. I had him fling me up onto that control booth, and then I ran to the right and popped 2 of the bubbles early, and then I popped the second 2 as soon as he lowered himself. Usually you have to wait for him to lower himself 4 times, and yeah. Alright, so I can also get a quick kill on this phase if I can get some high jumps off of these enemies that spawn. You saw me get 1 of them. Let's see if I can get the second one. No, maybe this one? No, not quite. The way that high jump works is you can jump off of the body of the enemy right before hitting its bubble. And if you time the jump correctly, you'll get a jump off, then hit the bubble, get a boost from that bubble, and that boost and your jump will combine and give you a bunch of extra jump height. Alright. And that's the last phase. So time is coming up in like 40 seconds, so be ready on that. So I do some speedy movement there. I just died. I beat the final boss and then I died. Nice. Okay, one last trick I do. The run's pretty much almost over. Is I jump on the collector and I get all the way up here. Because the scoreboard falls from the sky, so the higher up I am, the earlier I can hit it. So time is really soon. And time. Cool. That's pretty good. Usually like, I don't know, sub 1 hour is considered a really good time. World record right now is 57:19. But yeah, the skill ceiling in this game is really high, so that can go a lot lower probably. But yeah, thanks for watching and having me here and stuff. Oh, also follow PPJ. His Twitch name is the letters PPJ separated by underscores. Also shout out to Soul Moose because he told me to. Alright, but yeah, I'm done. We're good.